Hello, everyone, and welcome back to day 167 of our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. And today we're in Mossel Bay, South Africa, where we get to go back on safari.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we're living that full life aboard Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise on Serenade of the Seas.
We are. Well, friends, today we are in Mossel Bay, South Africa.
Right. So Mossel Bay is just south of Port Elizabeth. We're starting to swing around the Cape here. We've moved on. It's not very far from one of the ports to another. Now, one of the things that's different about Mossel Bay here is that it is a tender port. So they don't have a large dock. They're not really designed to accommodate large cruise ships. They're
Not
really
yet.
just kind of,
Not yet.
yeah, they're really just starting to see the benefits or seeing, the tourism that comes in from these cruise ships. So you do have to tender in. And when we pulled into the bay, it was a little sporty whether we were going to get to tender or not.
Yeah, we had some pretty good swells, but we were able to tender in. And and there were seals that greeted us.
Yeah.
There's Seal Rock is nearby, which is home to many seals, but that's always sweet.
They were
to
right
see
outside
the seals
our balcony.
swimming outside. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we took that tender over to the mainland. Now, today we actually decided to do a Royal Caribbean excursion, one that's planned by them, because they had a game drive safari, whatever you want to call it, out to Botlierskop, which is another private game reserve. Now, if you haven't seen yesterday's adventure, which we went to Port Elizabeth and we went out to Amakhala, that was a private game reserve as well. And so you're going to see some differences. We're going to reference back to Amakhala today and talk about how those two adventures were a little different. Well, once our tender arrived at the port, this was where we started to see some real differences between yesterday's tour and today's tour.
Right, and there were several differences, but the first that we noticed was the size of our tour. So yesterday there were just 6 of us. It was just a private tour. Today we were on the Royal Caribbean tour, and there's over 100 of us. There was 2 or 3 buses full of people, and so that's a lot of people to accommodate. Now, Botlierskop could handle that, which was a really good thing. But once we got there, the Jeeps were the next thing. So many people had to get on the Jeeps to go out on the safari, onto the game reserve. And the Jeeps held 18 people versus 10 yesterday. And so that's quite a few more. That we were sitting 4 across, which that then made it a little bit difficult for viewing the animals. If you were on the left side and the game was on the right side, you were having to look past several people at that point. So that's just kind of a pro tip. If you're going to spend the money to go on these safaris, know what kind of vehicle that you're getting into, that you're going to be going around in, because that can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, to me, once we saw the vehicles and got there, and by the way, just backing up just slightly, once we arrived at Botlierskop, the lodge was beautiful.
It really was.
Absolutely gorgeous and brand new looking. And I mean, it was just the view was wonderful. So again, as you hear us compare and contrast between Amakhala yesterday and Botlierskop today, it is somewhat 2 different experiences.
It really is.
But the thing that I noticed especially when we saw the vehicles, it felt very Disney Kilimanjaro safaris, Yeah.
You said that several times. Now, part of it, I think, too, is because of the size of Botlierskop. Now, it is 11,000 acres, whereas Amakhala yesterday was 18,000 acres, and Otto was 400,000 acres, that natural park. So this is the smallest of the 3, and so it kind of felt like, it's like, well, now let's see the rhinos. Now let's go see the elephants. Now let's go see the lions. So yeah, a little more Disney-esque in that.
And the vehicles made me think that too, because they're very large. And if anybody's been to Animal Kingdom in Florida, the vehicles are actually even very similar to that. Really very large, holding a lot of people at one time. Well, that said, we we want to stress, we did enjoy this. And as the vehicles left, we began to see wildlife, which is why
And
we're
that
here.
was a good thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
So we started off, we saw lots of antelope, lots of springbok. We saw kudus,
Impalas.
impalas. So, those are the easy things to say. We saw some water buffalo, and then we started leaving from there. And then that's when we saw the lions. And again, here's another major difference.
This is a big difference. So the lions here were behind an electric fence, whereas in yesterday's video, they were just right there beside the Jeep. Just right there.
Yeah, they were 15 feet beside the Jeep, walking toward our Jeep.
And
yeah.
here we were protected by an electric fence. They're just laying on the other side of it. Now, that said, they do have horseback rides through their
through Botlierskop. Yeah,
through Botlierskop.
Through their game reserve.
And so the lions, they will prey on zebras, on cheetahs, things like that for their zebras and impalas and antelope.
Yeah, not cheetahs.
Not cheetahs, no, for their food. And a horse is very much like a zebra, and so they obviously they can't have horseback riding with people on them with the lions right there. So some of that is understandable. The other thing with the lions, they were telling us that the lioness is on birth control, that she has implants in because they cannot at this time have any cubs, or they don't want any cubs. They're trying to control the population.
Also, that said, the Botlierskop is going to try to reverse. They're going to do their horse rides in that smaller fenced off area where the lions are, and they're saying they're going to introduce the lions into the main area and just let them hunt naturally. And they're trying to just figure out how to manage the wildlife there. Again, Botlierskop is a younger park than Amakala, and especially than Otto, the national park. So they're still learning, and they're figuring it out.
Absolutely.
But that said, it did make the experience a little more like, oh, look, lions behind a fence. I've seen that at a zoo, But we left there and started on the drive. And then after that, we saw some amazing rhinos.
We did. Actually, we saw a lot of rhinos, the white rhinos, which I was very surprised about. And as in Amakala, yes, I'm sorry. They also do not call and identify this is where the rhinos are, and this is how many rhinos we have, because they just don't know who is listening in on that radio frequency, and just to protect the animals from poachers.
Yeah. And they would not disclose how many rhinos they have, but we found they had a lot. So we saw about 4 yesterday in 3 different sightings. And at a little bit of a distance, and here we got right up to the rhinos. So that was really good. That was a good experience. And then from there, we saw hippos. Now, we saw 1 hippo yesterday. They had more hippos in the pools here at Botlierskop, and we got a pretty good hippo. They didn't get out and walk around because hippos spend almost all the time in the water. But we got some good sightings. We did.
And we saw wildebeest. And then the one thing I was very happy to see, because we hadn't seen yet, were the giraffes.
Yes.
They had their heads poking up, and we see them just striding along with their long legs. And so that was a real treat. I was very delighted to see the giraffes.
Yeah, we had a couple of really good. In fact, we had a couple of giraffe sightings. One was at the home where their vet stays when he's there. It's kind of it's the Airbnb for their vet.
It was in their backyard.
It was just in the backyard walking around.
Yeah, that was so cool. That was just so neat.
Yeah, so we saw that. And then, so with all of that, we've now checked off 4 of the 5 4 of the big 5. We will say that some friends of ours did here at Botlierskop have a cheetah sighting, which was really good.
That was neat. We unfortunately didn't, but
they were very fortunate.
Happy for them.
But they, again, were on a private tour, not on the royal tour, so there was a little more flexibility in their tour. They were booked more directly with Botlierskop. That can make a big difference.
I suppose it could, potentially.
And then our tour after that, we had to head back. The tour was 3 hours. And our tour time was up, and we saw even more rhinos driving back to the lodge.
We did. So they returned us to the lodge where we got on our buses to return back to the dock where we were to catch our tender boat. But we still
And
had
once again, that was only like 20 minutes. Very
it was
close to town.
So it was very
Yeah.
close to town, which was nice. But once we got there to the dock area, we still had a little bit of time before the last tender. We decided we'd have a late lunch, early dinner, so we stopped
A dinner.
a dinner. We'd stop at one of the restaurants there, and it was kind of a beachy restaurant. We were eating on picnic tables on the sand. They had a fire going, but the name of it was Kai Barai was the name of it, and it was quite good.
Yeah, right there at the pier. I enjoyed it
Yeah.
thoroughly. The rooster cook, the bread. It's a South African bread. It was so good. It's a little bit like a naan bread cooked over an open fire, and I had the mixed grill or the barbecue meat platter. You had what we call tinfoil fish.
I did, but my fish was cooked over the fire
In tinfoil with butter.
But it was
and
delicious.
It looked great.
It actually was really,
Yeah,
quite
so we
good.
enjoyed that and just sat and watched the waves and the sun starting to set until about 6 o'clock, and then we had to get on that tender because the boat waits for no one. So
That's right. Time to go back. But it was a beautiful evening. The moon was out shining just so beautifully.
Yeah.
But we had to get ready for the next day.
yeah, because we're going to Cape Town, and here,
Yes.
just amazing. You, after only about an hour in Cape Town, said, we've got to bring the family here. Yeah. And so I think you're going to know we loved Cape Town. It is in our top 10 cities we visited so far on this Ultimate World Cruise.
I would say yes.
So be
to
sure
that.
to tune into that on our next video. I think you won't be disappointed as we visit some beautiful areas in Cape Town.
Well, going back to Mossel Bay, would you come back?
You know, it's tough. It's if everyone here saw the video on Port Elizabeth, I think the answer is very similar. Loved Mossel Bay. Nothing wrong with Mossel Bay. Glad we had the stop. But I don't think I'd fly 24, 26 hours from the United States to come to Mossel Bay.
Right.
That said, if we wanted to just do a tour of South Africa, that's a great loop to start in Port Elizabeth, to drive to Mossel Bay, then to drive to Cape Town, drive to the Cape.
It would be a nice
It would be
stop.
nice. So if we just kind of came back to South Africa, I would not be opposed to doing a driving tour like that, but I wouldn't necessarily come to Mossel Bay just to come to Mossel Bay.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
If you're on a cruise, oh, you're fortunate. You're blessed if you're going to stop in Mossel Bay. It's wonderful.
Absolutely, and the
Wonderful.
people were so friendly. So I had a very good experience here, and I loved seeing all the animals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Well, we will see you very soon in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.